Poor Mr. Mallet looks exhausted.
The only thing that ever sat its way to success was a hen, Professor Pavlovsky.
Well, we can keep pretending all we like, but the reality is that he isn't really a serious contender.
And why do you presume that?
Well, he doesn't have the experience that Dan has, for starters. The thing I can't understand is why you're so insistent on backing him.
But I will wear my heart upon my sleeve for doors to peck at. You see, even after a year working alongside Mr. Hamilton, I still can't quite put my finger on who he is.
Prof? Mr. Hanssen?
Mr. Hamilton, now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting to attend to. Did I inform you, by the way, that the University Board have asked me to sit in on the interviews? I look forward to hearing your presentation.
You have a good team of people working for you. You should be very proud.
And Michael Spence?
The report will be in your inbox by this afternoon.
Well, 2 months in the making. I dare say I can wait another 2 hours. May I say, it has been a pleasure.
Likewise.
If only all my clinicians displayed the same level of dedication, discipline, and professional distance that you have.
That's me.
Look, I was thinking I may have overstepped the mark a little the other day. I was a bit confrontational and I shouldn't have been. Right, so, you know, Sahira. I shouldn't have gone into battle on her behalf. It's not my place.
Very well.
Well, I haven't been a naughty girl. Have you?
Ah, good. Please, come in. So, the cardiac trauma unit has once again come under scrutiny by the board.
I thought we'd already earned our stripes.
There's no denying that it's doing well and that you, Miss Shah, have done an excellent job in building it up. However, it is essentially an expensive luxury, which means that from time to time the board are going to want to evaluate its worth.
But like you said, it's doing well, so there's nothing to worry about, is there?
Even the most proficiently run department can be improved upon. So, to ensure that CT operates to its full potential, I've decided to redistribute the workload.
Redistribute the workload?
What does that entail?
It entails you, Miss Naylor, being more hands-on, and you, Mr. Douglas, stepping up and taking on more of the load.
So I'll be sidelined, is that what you're saying?
You can focus on your electives and provide some cover on the ward, and that way you get to go home on time of an evening.
Why are you doing this?
You've repeatedly expressed concerns about your workload. They've been noted.
And when does this become official?
Effective immediately, please. As of today, you'll be in the passenger seat. Thank you.
I built CTU from scratch, and you just stab me in the back and take it away.
No, like I said, I'm just redistributing.
Redistributing?
I'm simply doing what I think is best for the department.
If you would just compromise on a few things.
This is a hospital. There can't be any compromises. There are people's lives at stake. Now, Miss Naylor doesn't have the same considerations as you, and that is why I decided ultimately she would be the better fit.
Yes. Yeah, and she's going to love that, isn't she? Absolute power.
I'm only giving you what you wanted, Miss Shah.
Lesson number 1, always assume that your patient is lying until you can prove otherwise.
And the NHS doesn't have a bad enough reputation as it is when it comes to public relations. Interesting theory, though.
That's one of mine, actually.
And you're hoping to instill a similar sense of cynicism in the students that will be taught here, are you?
Always assuming that your patient's lying means that you will do everything in your power to prove otherwise.
Well, I'm sure the Care Quality Commission will be very interested in your staff's approach to patient care.
Look. Apologies for my bedside manner. I'm a little...
Tired? It's not us you should be apologizing to. It's Obi.
Hello again there, Obi. Sorry about my tone before. I'm just a little concerned about your foot. Can you please tell me if there's any numbness?
No pins and needles?
No.
Seriously?
My foot feels a little cold.
Thanks. Right. We're gonna have to do a scan.
Well, perhaps Mr. Malik was right after all. Miss Shah, the boy you just operated on,
Yes, he's in stable condition.
thought I gave you clear instructions to take a back seat today.
Sorry?
I asked you to concentrate on your electives today.
Well, the phone went. I was there. What was I supposed to do? Call on your superior, perhaps? It seems fairly obvious.
Well, it was actually Greg that took the call.
Well, then either Greg or you should have paged me.
See, in failing to follow the correct protocol...
Protocol? There was no time.
In failing to follow the correct protocol, you neglected your patient. He's a very vulnerable young man.
What's happened?
Anthony had collapsed on the floor. He pulled his chest drain out. Whatever reason, he was trying to leg it.
Well, I ordered 15-minute obs. Did you want me to sit by his bedside?
It's not the fact you left the bedside, it's that you didn't return.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Excuse me.
I know what this is about. Rafi came to see you.
I don't know what you mean.
Yes, you do. He told me everything. So this is my punishment. You think you can treat me like an errant child? Not this time.
What the university board members wanted to get a sense of today is who their students would be working with on a day-to-day basis. You know, what their experience is, etc. And, well, from what you've told us, it's obvious that you are definitely more than qualified for this role. So thank you very much for coming to see us.
Well, thank you for seeing me. As I said, I see this as a fantastic opportunity to not only share my love and enthusiasm for the profession, but to also help shape and develop Holby as a centre for education.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
Oh, before you go, Mr. Hamilton, forgive me. There's no doubting your experience, and it seems clear that you'd make an excellent role model. I'm just wondering if you're aware how much actual work is involved in being a clinical skills teacher.
Of course.
How much do you know about the current curriculum, for instance?
Well, from all the research I've done, I know that it's completely changed since I was a student. There are now whole modules called patient communications. Can you believe it? We just had one lecture a year on that sort of thing when I was there.
Very well. Oh, and finally, what do you think sets you apart from the other candidates?
My professionalism, my experience.
No, I mean, what is unique about you as a candidate? What makes you the man for the job?
Right.
Your openness, your honesty. I mean, what is it about Mr. Hamilton that will inspire?
My professionalism.
I think you've already mentioned your professionalism, Mr. Hamilton.
My level-headedness, for one thing. I think I have great people skills with patients, colleagues. I have an impeccable track record. I'm not as volatile as some of the other candidates. There are no marks against my name.
So I was pretty surprised to learn that some universities no longer use cadavers for dissection and that your university are considering using virtual computer software or plastic dummy bodies. Well, I think that's a mistake. Students need first-hand experience of the human body. You can't simulate that.
Your openness and honesty are admirable, Mr. Malik. I'm just curious, would you encourage such frankness in your students?
Absolutely. Frankness and individualism should always be encouraged.
But when individualism becomes insubordination, then what?
While I would certainly encourage free thinking, students have to also be aware that there are rules and guidelines, and I, as their superior...
So you wouldn't encourage insubordination?
Well, no.
For instance, if a student were to...
Is it really necessary to hypothesize in this way?
I think so, yes. I'm just trying to gauge how Mr. Malik would react to being challenged by one of his students.
I'm sorry, but I don't see how relevant it is.
I think it's extremely relevant if Mr. Malik has anger issues.
Now, that's overstating the case somewhat.
Yes. I've struggled in the past and I've made mistakes. But hand on heart, I've learned from those mistakes. And honestly, I think that's what would make me the better teacher. So, should I be chosen for the job, I'll make sure my students know exactly how it is. There'll be no gloss, no sugarcoating. Being a doctor can be hard. Long hours, no life, irritating patients, dying patients. And sometimes you can find yourself elbow deep in vomit and blood. And what makes it all worth it is that you can also help people, and sometimes you can save people's lives. What makes me a good role model? What you see is what you get.
Brilliant! Wow, that's brilliant. Thank you, Mr. Hanssen. Thank you so much. Sorry. See you soon.
Miss Shah's giving her statement to the police. Have you?
Yeah, already done.
And the boy?
I'm on my way in to see him. He should be okay to talk.
Miss Shah, is she...
Just a little shaken, but determined to finish her shift.
And you?
Yeah, fine.
Yes, thank you very much for the report. It made for interesting reading.
I've tried not to make it too dry.
Well, it's full of surprises.
He's worthy of a fresh start, Mr. Hanssen. Whatever that special touch is, he's got it. If you could just trust him again.
I hope you enjoyed your time with us.
I did.
And where are you off to next?
Wherever I'm needed.
Au revoir.
Hey, she's just a little bit upset.
What on earth's going on here? Miss Shah? Miss Shah?